Got a friend with me on this one. So as the April 8th date comes closer, and after my video just released the part 1 to this part 2, there's more that I'd like to share around this original creation magic, if we will, and really what creations are happening around this eclipse event. And there was just more and more information, and it just couldn't fit into the one video without it being way too long. So that's why we have broken this into 2 separate videos. So let's meander into the timelines that the negative faction, as I say, the vile ones, plan a bit more. But let's also look at the power of the variations of timelines that are coming into play, or should we say the manifestation desires and the through point of this time. Plus, we're going to talk about the oh so magnificent energies that are circling around and empowering the dragon energies, but I'm going to speak specifically on the Blue Dragon Tiamat. So imagine, if you will, stepping into the eternal flames of the sacred fire once again, so that we can bask in its radiant glow, for it illuminates not only the night sky, but also our souls. And as you feel into that, and potentially even closing your eyes, now imagine what this enchanted space brings. We're transported to primordial times, where tales of wonder and magic were woven into the very fabric of existence, and the warmth of the fire caresses our spirits, beckoning us to share our stories of our journeys and quests. Now, in direct opposition of that, I'd like you to imagine, if you will, stepping into the energy of a being that does not want to be part of organic and original creation any longer. This being, these entities, would rather create a death system to live within lowest of low frequencies, without love, without the divine light, without consciousness. Is this by choice? Yes. There is choice there with a resounding yes. Choosing to end natural laws like free will, which we see that every day in our realm, don't we? Conquering conquests with continuous and endless enslavement. There is no free will, and there is no natural and universal laws. Whew. All right. Well, open your eyes if you were closing them. Those energies and those visions are very different, aren't they? And what I feel when we really look into this is that these energies we're not just talking about duality. This is beyond that. Because duality is actually oneness. But this extreme, this massive extreme of the breaking and the ripping and the tearing of the fabric of the creation of the universe is not oneness in any way, shape, or form. The natural laws are oneness, where even the duality is in one. Is that not the yin and yang, or yin and yang, symbology to its very core? And so this second vision, so much contrast from the first, where wonder and magic weaved into the fabric of existence. This second vision is something else, isn't it? It's what I say is cruelty, vile. And it's ending living creation. And truly what that means is an ending and a desire to end consciousness as we can understand at this time. And so I think when we get this, like get it, feel it, perhaps, we can get that there are entities that choose to consistently not work within the rules. They've created their own game and want to create their own structure of all things. And so what they're actually doing is seeking to replace the divine construct with their inversion of it. Let me share an example with you, because there are many, but this is a very simple one in my seeing. So, Yuval Noah Harari, we'll just say Noah for fun, wrote in a so-called essay called Our Non-Conscious Future. I mean, I don't really even know if we need to go any further than that. I think that pretty much says it all, doesn't it? A part of this essay that he writes goes like this. This will be not just the greatest revolution in history, but the greatest revolution in biology since the appearance of life on Earth. For 4 billion years, life was governed by the laws of natural selection. During all these eons, whether you were a virus or a dinosaur, you evolved according to the principles of natural selection. In addition, no matter what strange and bizarre shapes life took, it remained confined to the organic realm. Organic realm. Say that again. Whether a cactus or a whale, you were made of organic compounds, and you remained subject to the laws of organic chemistry. In the next 2 centuries, however, science could be ushering in the era of inorganic life, shaped by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design of our cloud computing. Okay, there are so many things that I need to break down, and this was originally published in 2018, by the way. Did you catch this part? For billions of years, life was governed by natural laws. That's essentially what he is saying. And we have to focus on this word was. Isn't that intriguing? What does he mean, was? I think many of us know exactly what that means. It is the organic magic that I speak of every day. Then he says, confined to the organic realm. Organic. As it's related to confinement. Then it says, subject to laws of organic, and ushering in organic life. And then here's the really sticky part. Not the intelligent life of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the design of cloud computing. Who is our exactly? Oh, do go on, Noah. We want to hear more. No, never mind. We actually already know, and we don't want to know more. There are clips of him giving a talk about this essay. I say it's a manifestation tool of low magic, but call it what you will. And he adds some other things in it for extra emphasis. Angry emphasis at that. You'll have to go research that video because it'll take you down rabbit holes, and I think they're actually really important rabbit holes to know. And this is what the vial ones look like in form, by the way. You'll notice a theme to the look, too, so as you do your research, you can think about that. And I think that's part of the rabbit hole research. But as you can see, what is really being portrayed here is that it's inorganic. It's against natural and against universal laws of living, creation, organic, and origin making. So it's a creation to their own thing, not within unity consciousness, but totally and completely outside of all things. Certainly without Cosmic Mother and the Mother Arc energies. And this is just a tiny example. Now with this, I feel like we can now move into other parts of the eclipse because it's very much connected. So many of you may have already seen this, and I just think this was another deeper rabbit hole to go down because it's actually weaving into some other visions and knowings. So NASA is firing so-called rockets at the time of the eclipse, and it's a serpent deity. And no, it's not a serpent as in the divine feminine either. Friends, this is the so-called space agency, and this project is called Atmospheric Perturbations Around the Eclipse Path. From the mainstream BS, it says, it will investigate how that drop in sunlight and temperature affects Earth's upper atmosphere. Apep, for short, is named after the serpent deity from ancient Egyptian mythology, nemesis of the sun deity Rah, according to NASA. NASA's suborbital rockets won't launch into totality. Instead, they'll go from Wallops Flight Facility in Wallops Island, Virginia, from where 81% of the sun will be blocked by the moon. That moment will happen at 15:33 Eastern Standard Time. 15:33. It's also interesting. 333. 333. See how these tools can be used for low and vile magic just as much as high and love light magic? This is why we don't have to make things up, because honestly, this stuff just flows and writes itself. But this isn't the first time that this has been done. So there were actually 3 rockets launched on October 14th, 2023. They launched what they called Black Brant sounding rockets, and they did this from the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico. And what they're saying they're doing is they're studying the ionosphere before, during, and after the peak eclipse. That's my scientist voice, by the way. Scientist voice. In the video just released, which is the part 1 to this video, I mentioned that since this 2017 solar eclipse, there's been tons of emissions from the sun that has been interacting with the Earth's atmosphere, where ionization is caused by incoming solar radiation, and it affects the transmission of radio waves, and we call this the ionosphere. And so what this is doing is basically changing the magnetic fields of the Earth. And I've received, as I mentioned in part 1, connecting insights, that this is really, these solar initiations are really great purifying energies. And this is something we'll have to go into in more depth in and of itself at another time. But so basically what has been changing is the magnetic field of Earth. And this is why there's so much shifting. And so the Sirius, or we could say the Sirius-Lyran system, is sending in a massive, they're sending in massive communications, essentially. This is all about connecting into original suns. We could also say twin suns. And this is why, we're seeing so much power coming from the sun and the moon. And in part 1, I go over a photograph that I took of the moon. So you should go check that out. So it's just important to know this all because, and essentially what an eclipse does, it's creating waves in the ionosphere. And so I guess you could say it's like an ocean. Now, NASA says that their scientists want to understand how the ionosphere responds to all these disturbance activities, because all satellite communications go through the ionosphere before they reach Earth. I've looked in many, many, many places. That is literally the only why we're doing this statement that I can find in their PDFs and pamphlets about these rockets and such. Sure, right, that's it. Sometimes who do they think they're kidding here? So let's talk about this Apep program. Again, they say it stands for Atmospheric Perturbations Around Eclipse Path. Okay, so let me get this straight. Couldn't they have just called it Measurement of Solar Eclipse Atmospheric Perturbations, perhaps? Then it'd be MOSEEP. I like that. I think that I could get totally down with that as if I was in NASA marketing of the space company. But no, they had to call it Apep. There's millions of names to, yeah. So taking many resources into context, let's talk about what Apep is, right? Apep. And there's a lot of names. It's not just Apep, but there are varying names around this being. But Apep was known as the arch enemy of the Egyptian solar god Ra. Now, Ra, the way that is interpreted as a sun god, solar god, is actually incorrect. It's a misinterpretation. And so it's really a representative of something else, which I'll get into in a moment. Apep appears in the form usually of like a giant demonic snake, or even sometimes like dragon-y or crocodile-y way, for lack of better words. And regardless, it's always a primordial and symbolized as it, like capturing the essence of evil. Another name is Poopus or Poopus. And so it's an ancient demon of chaos. That's what it was known as. And this image is sharing with you the concept of this demon, so to speak, of chaos is underneath this constant threat, and then you have the solar deities above on a, like, trying to keep that down and in check and get it out of their way. And so what this is a symbology of is struggle, right? So throughout Egyptian his story, of course it's not our story, we're only going to get what we can from it. But the pharaohs were always known as being, and even if they were the vile ones in form, they were agents of the sun. And the ethos around this is dispelling the chaos of the uncivilized entities who were always attempting to evade their lands. So those uncivilized entities were basically workers of Apep, and their only mission was destroying order. So the solar gods or goddesses, solar feminine and masculine, and we could really say these are sacred energies, were typically seen as those that were against Apep and all the instruments or those serving Apep. So now, talking about the lineage of Rah. Now, the lineage of Rah isn't about a god that's named Rah. This, again, as I mentioned before, it's an incorrect way of looking at this all. So Rah is a lineage. It's a consciousness. A complex is how it has been described through channelings, true channelings of this from many decades ago. And it is a consciousness of sun beings or sun consciousness. And so we could also say that, and this is where the law of one lineage comes from. And so it is unity consciousness. And so the Ra lineage is unity in so many ways, is how I would really connect this. And the powerful connection is, and as I mentioned in part 1 to this video, is that the reconnection is happening of the twin or like a partner sun to our sun. And this is within, as far as I can see this, it's within the Lyran and Sirius system. And what Ra really is a guardian consciousness, and I speak of this in much of my work as well. And you can find videos on that here as well, the guardian consciousness. So for one time, I was able to find this in so many different sources to confirm the feeling or the knowing, because I had a dream long ago, I'm not even really sure when, about the creation of this realm. And so essentially, you'll see this in a lot of different movies even, how many worlds have two suns. Well, the truth is that third density experiences have two suns, typically. And this, I don't know the mechanics of that, but I'm sure there's a very important mechanic to that as to why it's so, well, actually, now that I'm just flowing with this, I feel like what I'm getting is that it's because the two suns actually work to help evolve the system faster, and the two suns are like a push and pull, twin souls, essentially, and they help to evolve the system. And actually, when you are creating a third density from the beginnings of the planetary being that becomes the consciousness that becomes the planetary being, to bring all the dragon energy within all of the construct, you need so much power to ignite it and to help things evolve properly. And that's actually why two suns are required. So that's what I'm getting around this right at this moment, to go deeper into that. But what happened is the beings, the divine beings and the guardians of this Trinity experiences, this unique and specific one, Earth, Terra, Gaia, they had to try to hide this realm. So you have a warring pirate sort of faction that is going around and manipulating third density systems because they're young and they're growing and they're so easy targets. They're easy targets. And so then to hide our realm, they know that these warring factions knew that if they traced two sun systems, then they could find them faster. That's why one of the suns was actually exploded or taken out. I'm not exactly sure of the right language to say on that, but they took it out. And in the before time when there were two suns, I think this is actually when I say original creation magic and that time, that primordial essence of time, even though we're working in the construct of the eternal now at the highest God source level, what we're looking at is the fact that one of those, there was a before time, essentially. And unfortunately, when one sun was taken out to try to again hide this world, so to speak, it fortunately did work for a long time, of what I can see as a long time, but then they found it anyway. They being the warring pirate faction, for lack of better words around that. But then, after that, the biggest strategy took place. And this is to end this ongoing battle, really. And this is the army of light that we are now. The importance of this time is that our healing and healing of this world is connected to literally a genetic DNA capability or ability, however we want to put it, to actually heal all things. And this is what I've talked about time and time again, is that humanity is was created, are in creation to mend the huge tear in the fabric of all universes, or we could say in all of creation. That is how big this is. So we must mend this through the means of empowering ourselves to heal, to activate in our unique ways as starseeds, indigos, and the cosmic wanderers. And truly, yes, humanity is that powerful. So that is a huge underscore here. And the issue is that we're continuing to deal with the Noahs. And that's not his really name, but again, I just think it's an interesting correlation, right? We're dealing with that. And that faction and that consciousness they despise humanity and all of the creation because they know humans are mending the tear that they specifically tore. So we are returning to source, and that's what they do not want to happen. This is, I do feel, what NASA is actually trying to read or view into. This is a viewing mechanism of some kind. Now, what are they viewing? That is the question that, of course, I don't know if we can know that. At least I do not. But we can know that it's not for our highest good. And these rockets, whatever they hold, whatever they are, they don't have anything to do with what they say they're doing. And I think that it would be extremely naive and ignorant for us to think otherwise. So do you see now how this is so much bigger and what they're actually doing and the symbology behind it all, right? It's big. And so now if we take this on the other side of the spectrum, we have some magnificence to talk about. And it's just yet insane how many variations and the things that are being said around these elements and words that are coming up. I'm sure many of you have also connected into the horned comet, as it's called, that actually has been coming through in March. And then it's been noted that this comet is going to make its debut essentially during the total solar eclipse on the 8th as well. So this comet is actually called the Mother of Dragons, or the Devil Comet. These kinds of this, do you see these extreme views? And just crazy, because this comet apparently comes every 71 years. And I say apparently when I actually mean supposedly. Mother of Dragons so this comet is actually named Pons Brooks Comet. And 2P/Pons Brooks, if you really want to get technical. But it was changed to Mother of Dragons by the European Space Agency this year, because they say that this is ESA, this is what they said. Why? Because we have chosen instead a pop culture reference that draws on its role as the probable parent body of the Kappa Draconids, a small annual meteor shower that is active around the 29th of November to the 13th of December. That doesn't actually really say why they've chosen a pop culture reference. Okay, so I think they've made it pretty clear, though. I think they probably know more than they're saying, as always, and we don't need them to spell it out, because we don't. Because here's what I know to add into this layer, and I'm sure there are others that have other layers to this, so let's now layer this into one big picture, right? As I've said for so long now, and have talked about for a while, is Tiamat is taking her place as the cosmic mother of dragons. There is no denying this at all to me, that this connects into this grandiose going on that is being even further brought into this upcoming celestial event. So now we have this energetic, this comet comes every 71 years, right? Every 71 years, there's more than likely this comet, which is not just a comet. This one is volcanic, and why it has like a horned aspect to it, but it brings consciousness, is what I would say. It brings transformation. And I talked about this in part 1. But what I feel is that the power of the dragon energy, and especially that of Tiamat, is nothing that can be stopped. So that is the truth. And this is all the mother arc. And I say ARC specifically. And it's us taking a huge leap. And what this does for us all is almost beyond words, because it's something that we can feel. It's a power that I feel. It's like beyond power. It's that big, I guess is the word. And the reason for me to share, if you haven't watched some of my other videos or connected into that, but the reason I'm so connected into Tiamat is that the Celtic goddess lineages, of which one of my higher self constructs is Brigid, goddess Brigid. And so this is the original Grail line of the Mother of Dragons. And in my trip to the Albion, as I discussed in part 1, but I have Albion videos out here, I have a lot of information on this that truly is actually in formation all of the time, all times. And when I went to the Albion in October of this past year, I was able to step fully into the consciousness of the Mother of Dragons, to feel the power of all that came via a dragon egg in Avebury Henge. I have pictures and such of all of that, which I will share in a Sacred Dragon series that will come, but that is going to be a contained private space to dive into those energies, and it's taking me much time to integrate all of that, but I'm excited for that to come, and I just want to keep bringing that up because it's really going to be quite beautiful. And so to honor the dragon energies that are reclaiming their place in the 4 realms, I would love you to join us. So my partner, hubby, Mark, and I are going to be launching a streamed event on Monday. I would love you to journey with us. And what we're going to do is a visualization for a shield of protection and an empowerment with Tiamat. And my husband is also going to lead us in a dragon Qigong session. And the goal of this, and why we're creating this, is to counteract and serve as a high love magic container in and around the eclipse. So it's going to be Monday, April 8th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. So if you can catch it at that time, amazing. But feel free to rewatch it afterwards, because the energy is going to keep the momentum going. Love, high magic is what we're really wanting to tap into. And so I hope that these further insights that I've provided in this part 2 will help you to awaken more of your unique and divine magic, and helps us together to remember original creation magic, and also to see through lies and manipulations. Please subscribe to get more videos that hold the intention to illuminate the path for indigo, starseeds, and all of the cosmic wanderers, all the humans that are here with sacred missions that serve as the pioneers in this massive paradigm shift of consciousness. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in our live stream upcoming, or perhaps you can join in some of the other workshops and things that we've got going on.